The Dallas Cowboys just shook up the entire roster by landing future Hall of Famer Von Miller, but the collateral damage from this blockbuster move is already sending shockwaves through the locker room. One preseason game was all it took for front office patience to completely snap, exposing glaring depth chart disasters and costing a former fan favorite his job on the spot. If you thought this roster was set for a championship run, what just went down on the game film is going to completely change your perspective on this season. Make sure to hit that like button, share this video with fellow fans, and subscribe so you never miss breaking updates and deep film breakdowns. How can a single preseason game flip an entire front office strategy on its head in less than 48 hours? That is the burning reality facing Dallas right now as the details of this Von Miller deal finally come to light. We are talking about a one-year agreement sitting around $5.5 million that can reach up to $7.5 million if he hits some very aggressive milestone incentives. We are looking at escalators tied to hitting double-digit sacks, making a deep playoff run, or capturing a Super Bowl ring. The base commitment is remarkably reasonable, likely carrying roughly $5.5 million in real guarantees alongside active per-game bonuses. But to bring a decorated veteran like Miller into the building, somebody had to take the fall, and the axe fell directly on wide receiver Trayshawn Holden. It is a ruthless ending for a guy who generated plenty of excitement among supporters, but the writing was on the wall the second he stepped onto the field this weekend. You simply cannot muff a punt in live game action and expect a coaching staff under immense pressure to look the other way. To make matters worse, he committed a critical error by fielding another punt that was erased by a penalty, essentially doubling down on poor situational awareness. While the special teams miscues were glaring, the film shows his standing had already evaporated. Trayshawn Holden did not even see the field on offense until deep into the third quarter, watching players like Camden Brown and Anthony Smith run routes well ahead of him. He was falling rapidly down the pecking order, and the organization never viewed his ceiling quite as high as the outside hype suggested. By releasing him now during 90-man roster cuts, Dallas practically closes the door on stashing him on the practice squad, exposing him to waivers while opening up an immediate lane for hungry younger targets. Beyond the transaction wire, the film rewatch from the preseason opener revealed some deeply uncomfortable truths, particularly across the second and third string offensive line. When you turn on the tape, the starting unit looks rock solid. Your top 6 spots are virtually locked down with Tyler Guyton, Tyler Smith, Cooper Beebe, Tyler Booker, Terrence Steele, and T.J. Bass providing high-end protection and grit. But once you look past those 6 proven contributors, the drop-off is nothing short of terrifying. The second and third units struggled mightily in run blocking and failed to create consistent push at the point of attack. Trevor Keegan logged heavy snaps at left guard while Johnny Cornelius took reps at right guard, and Nick Leverett handled snaps at center. While the interior backups held their own reasonably well in pass protection, the exterior tackle situation is an outright red alert. Drew Shelton surrendered 3 pressures and was flagged for a penalty. Marcellus Johnson was called for 3 costly penalties while giving up another pressure, completely derailing the momentum he built during early training camp practices. Nathan Thomas did not give up a sack on paper, but he looked like he was barely hanging on against second-team edge rushers. Drew Shelton possesses athletic traits, but he remains exceptionally raw and clearly needs a full developmental year before he is ready to face live NFL edge talent without substantial tight end help. If Dallas suffers an injury on the outside, relying on this current crop of developmental tackles is a recipe for disaster, and the front office may be forced to scour the waiver wire or explore trades just to find functional tackle depth. That brings us directly to our question of the day, and I want to hear your unfiltered reactions down in the comments below. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being total panic, how worried are you about the offensive line depth, and what letter grade do you give the front office for signing Von Miller? Drop your exact rating and breakdown in the comments section right now. Turning over to the defensive side of the ball, the secondary tape delivered one of the clearest positional contrasts of the entire weekend. Reddy Stewart looked significantly sharper and more instinctive than Darian Kendrick. The contrast in run support was undeniable. Reddy Stewart racked up 3 decisive tackles across just 10 total snaps while operating out of the nickel, attacking downhill and blowing up plays near the line of scrimmage. Meanwhile, Darian Kendrick struggled badly against the run, tallying only a single tackle while being targeted twice in coverage and giving up ground. He missed a tackle according to the grading metrics, and he was fortunate that an off-target throw spared him from surrendering an explosive chunk play down the sideline. While neither player is a guaranteed roster lock, Reddy Stewart clearly earned an expanded look with the higher priority packages heading into next week. Then you look at the deployment of prized safety Caleb Downs. He logged 7 defensive snaps, with 6 coming at true safety and only 1 in the slot. The reason was simple: the defense opened in heavy base personnel against 5-man offensive fronts. When the defensive coordinator finally rotated into nickel packages, that is when Downs shifted down to cover the slot. That is precisely how this defense should operate during the regular season. In base looks, keep Caleb Downs patrolling the deep third, and when you transition into nickel or dime alignments, unleash his versatility closer to the line of scrimmage without taking your best athletes off the field. The defensive front also presents a brutal numbers crunch off the edge. With Von Miller in the fold, there is realistically only room for one player between Sam Williams and Marist Liufau on the final roster. Neither made an undeniable case on tape. Sam Williams logged 16 snaps, which is unusually high for an established contributor in a preseason opener, yet he generated 0 pass rush push on his 4 pass rush reps and struggled to set a firm edge against the run. Marist Liufau flashed 1 phenomenal tackle for loss inside the red zone, but he also got washed completely out of running lanes across his 22 snaps. The standout performer who outplayed both of them was James Houston. He consistently won his individual reps, notched a sack that was wiped out by an unrelated holding penalty, and demonstrated explosive burst. If the decision comes down strictly to edge rushing production, James Houston has outclassed his competition and deserves the roster spot. Finally, the battle for the final roster spots will be won on special teams, and the coverage units provided crucial clues about who is fighting for their NFL lives. P.J. Locke opened as the personal protector on punt coverage before Malik Davis took over the responsibilities. On the outside at the gunner spots, Elijah Clark and Anthony Smith received the first crack, followed by reps from Jaden Blue paired with Jonathan Mingo, and eventually Camden Brown working alongside Amir Speed. Amir Speed delivered the most impressive gunner rep of the game, blazing down the sideline, stacking his blocker, and forcing an immediate fair catch. Those specific plays will make or break fringe players when final cuts arrive. On the other hand, running back Phil Maffa logging just a single special team snap is a massive red flag for his chances of sticking around. With Von Miller now in the mix, does this defense have enough firepower to dominate, or will the glaring holes along the offensive line depth chart come back to haunt this team when the regular season begins?